Since learning is all about what the student produces, then the student is the center of the whole teaching experience because teaching is guiding the student to happen. So the characteristics of the student are paramount before we go any further talking about methods or anything to do with anything about learning. We've got to establish a few fundamental principles with regards to the student. We'll break this up into two categories. In the student, there are two major things that we're going to talk about, and one is the affective domain, and that is in contrast to the cognitive domain. So cognitive is what we think, what we process in our brain, cognition. It's all up what we're thinking. Affective, on the other thing, think affection. This is what we feel. So, well, let's write those down. This is what we feel, and the other one is what we think. This principle is most clearly illustrated by, do you really think you can teach somebody that doesn't want to learn? Yeah, they have to have a lot of motivation in order to do it. Why? Not just because they won't do what you want, but it goes back to Chapter 1. What is learning? Learning is producing. It is an act of agency by the student. If they do not have the motivation to actually do the activities that will help them to produce that knowledge, they aren't going to do anything. What does this mean for you as a tutor? Motivation is a huge thing. Talk to them as though you need to help them be inspired to do some math. I mean, think about it. Has your desire been affected by what a teacher did? Yeah. Now, we can't change what they do, but we can certainly help them. We can praise what they do get right. We can encourage. We can uplift. We can edify. Wait a second, that's Doctrine and Covenants section 50. That's exactly right. When you're affecting the feelings of somebody, often the description that describes that D&C 50 experience, that somebody is uplifted and edified and they rejoice together. Yeah, that's exactly right. You can help share excitement. You can communicate with them. All of these things that may help them to understand that it's cool. Learning is awesome and it feels really, really good. So that's one of the things that you'll need to focus on definitely, is how to motivate. And note that even if they have good intentions, they need to be able to commit to meet you at tutoring appointments, to get their homework done. There has to be a commitment level in them to be able to accomplish that. And you as a tutor can help them by giving them deadlines, encouraging them, drawing attention to the homework or an upcoming test. Anything like that can help in this. Now, this is not your responsibility to ensure that they have it, but certainly if they don't have it, it will limit what happens to you. And the more motivation and commitment they have, oh, guess what? The more they are able to learn, the more they are able to produce. Let's move along to the cognitive thing. A student, in order to produce thoughts and feelings and skills, must have a certain level of preparation. And that is actually really important. I want you to think about the things that you have learned, such as tying your shoe. If you didn't have the hand-eye coordination to be able to do that, you couldn't. When you first started learning math, if you didn't have the ability to comprehend abstract concepts such as variables, slope, unknowns, then you wouldn't be able to do that. So this is something that is really, you may not be able to totally affect, but when you're studying with them, it affects their future ability. So this includes all previous experience. These both actually include all previous experience. And think about that, how prepared you are right now, or how able you are right now to be able to understand what's going on in this class, in other classes, to learn to teach better, to learn more math, really depends on what kind of experiences you have had in the past. If you always learned by somebody who was a very visual instructor, and then you get an instructor who isn't visual, that might cause a problem. So for you, part of this is to reach back to where their preparation and their ability is and bring them up. One of my favorite things in education was to find out where a student was and where he needed to be. I knew this, I knew what I understood, but to reach back and say, do you understand this yet? Do you understand that? Do you understand that? And then build these bridges, this scaffolding that would take from where their preparation and ability were to where they needed to be. This was exciting. This was fun. One of the most interesting things is the interplay between these two. If students feel that they are dumb, that they are not prepared, that they are not able to handle the class, immediately their desire starts to wane. You can't encourage them or uplift them or get them excited about anything, and they wane in their commitment. Likewise, if they start not having these, then they're not as able to do it. They won't prepare as much. Well, you as a tutor should be helping dually to get these guys up to speed. When you tutor one-on-one, you'll be able to help them prepare for their sessions, emailing them ahead of time, helping them to feel accountable that you're going to be there. All of those things will help in their preparation. And when you're there, you can encourage and uplift and build them. To help you understand a little bit more of what a struggling student might need to overcome in these, I have a small exercise for you. Here we have what is called an exponent monster. Here are these rational things, and many of you guys remember how to do these, where this would be 625, fourth root of it, third power. If there's a negative on the exponent, it makes it a fraction. So most of you will have seen this by now. So I'd like you to pause for about 2 minutes and see how many of these you can get done. When you're ready, unpause the video and let's see how you did. All right, welcome back. You may not have noted, but right up here are some things that may have helped you to do a little bit faster. You can look at those if you'd like to and try for another 2 minutes. Go ahead and pause the video and restart when you're ready. All right, now that you've had a chance to do it, let's see how fast you can do it. 6 to the negative 3 is 1 over 216. 169 to the 0 is 1. 3 to the negative 4 is 1 over 81. 32 to the 3/5 is 8. And this is 1 over 64, 1 over 128. That's 4. That's 1 over 125. That's 1 over 128. Nope, that's 128. That's 125. That's 16. That's 1 over 16. That's 9. That's 81. 7. 1. 1 over 11, 1 over 2. Do you see how fast you could be doing these? Well, if you're anything like me, when you have somebody reading off the answers bullet quickly like that, you're like, hey, wait, stop! Stop that! I need some time to process. Well, let's consider what happens when you're tutoring a student and you read off an equation like 2x plus 3 equals 8. And you're in your mind saying, oh yeah, subtract 3 divided by 2. This is easy. And he thinks, okay, this is an equation. And how do I solve I've got to get x by itself. And there's a slower process that goes on that you have to slow down and accommodate that their ability may not be to do it very quickly. Well, we don't judge people just on how fast they can do it. We also give them the time to process. Processing speed and time is one of the fundamental needs of everyone. And those that are struggling in math need this at least as much as everyone else does. I was once tutoring a student, and she came into my office and said, what is 2.38 times 10 to the 9th power? How do you do that so fast? And I thought about saying, well, you just move the decimal 9 places. And I thought, do you know how to do this problem? And she said, well, yes, I do. And she did the following. She moved the 0 over there. Then she did 1 times 8 was 8. 1 times 3 was 3. 1 times 2 was 2. Because there was a 0 there, she brought a 0 down. And then she said 1, 2 decimal places was right there. I was amazed. I was astounded. She was trying to do scientific notation, and she didn't even know the shortcut that timesing by 10 would move the decimal. We did about 6 more of these problems, and then I asked her to see if she could find a shortcut. And she did, and she was like, wow, does that always happen? Yes, indeed it did. And then she's like, oh my goodness. So then we tried this one. She knew what 10 squared was. That was 100, so she moved the 2 zeros over and did the same process. It only took her 3 or 4 problems before she was able to say, wait a second, I just moved it 2 decimal places. And pretty soon, she was able to see, well, duh, you just move it 9 decimal places. But she needed that time to process it all herself because it was her production of that knowledge that was more important. It was not me telling her that was important. It was the fact that she produced it. And in this teaching experience, it was most valuable for me to not tell her and let her do that according to her own preparation and her own ability. My job was just to help establish the preparation that would help her to learn the material. Hope that will help you in your studies.